everyone, it's Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Once again, it is Weigh-In Wednesday. It's a little bit late, but it is still technically Wednesday, so here I am. In my bed, trying to stay comfortable because I'm actually in quite a bit of pain tonight, and I'll get into that in a minute. We got into a car crash this weekend, so I'll give you that tea after we talk about my weigh-in. So my weigh-in this morning was 281, which is finally below 282. I felt like I was never going to get below that point. I actually think that the weight that I'm dealing with right now, around 280, is an adiposity set point for me. If you're not familiar with an adiposity set point, it is basically a weight at which your body tries to maintain. I will link Susan's video below. There's some science behind it that supports it, but basically 280 was what I weighed for a really long time. I weighed that through most of high school and most of my early 20s. And I mean, overall, I was pretty comfortable at that weight. I kind of bounced between around 260 and 280. So I think subconsciously, not only is my body really comfortable at this weight because that's where I was before I put on a ton of weight really quickly, but what was I going to say? I forgot my train of thought. Like, that's been happening a lot lately. I can't remember. Anyway, I think it's a weight my body is just comfortable at. And I think subconsciously, even though I didn't set 280 as a goal weight when I started this plan, I knew that that was a weight that I wanted to get back to, and basically I think my body is just trying to stay at that weight. So I'm fully expecting at this point, if I am in fact at like an adiposity set point, which I think I am, I think that my weight loss from this weight to getting under 260 is probably going to go slow. I'm really hoping it isn't, but I am prepared for the fact that it just might. So I can't give too much attention to what the scale is saying because it might just move really slow. So in terms of my food though, my food has been great. I have not had any, like wonky fuzzy lines or deviations or anything like that. My lines are bright. We're actually, like I said, we're in the Gideon Games now. We just finished up week 1. And I had a perfect week. I got a 7. Actually, all the ladies in my group had a perfect week. So yay us. So yeah, it's actually going pretty good. I just have to keep reminding myself that, focus on the bright lines, you'll lose the weight. Focus on the weight, you'll lose your bright lines. So just really trying to repeat that mantra to myself as much as I can, because it is very discouraging when your weight does not move and you're really doing your best. So there's that. So yeah, let's I guess we'll talk about the car accident for a minute. Basically I have whiplash. We were coming home so Sunday we were supposed to have like a date day, which actually turned into a friend day. My boyfriend and I were going to go out to Vacaville, go to some specialty stores that we don't have out here, hit the farmers markets, stuff like that. And, I told my best friend, and he wanted to go because he wanted to go to the exact same stores we were going to. So we're like, okay, well, we'll just all 3 go. And they get along great, my boyfriend and my best friend. So I wasn't like tripping off that or anything. Still fun, So we went out to Vacaville and did our shopping, and we were heading back from Vacaville on Highway 80. And we were in the middle lane. And there's 3 lanes in that stretch of Highway 80. So we were in the middle lane, and I guess what happened, I mean, I was sitting down in the passenger seat, and I had my head down at the time of impact. But it wasn't hard to figure out what the heck happened, and I'll tell you in a second. But basically, I have whiplash because he hit us, but I was sitting with my head down at the time of the collision. But, we were in the middle lane, and this kid in the lane to the left of us was texting and driving at the same time, and he wasn't paying attention to what he was doing. And I don't know if he was looking at his phone and drifted into us, or if he looked up from his phone and realized he was about to rear end the woman in front of him and like veered towards us instead of away from the road. But basically he ended up slamming his car into the left side of our car and rear ending the woman in front of him in her rear passenger bumper. So, yeah, that was not fun. Basically, I was sitting in the car and I had my head down and I had my legs crossed. So when the guy hit us, I already had my head down, so I like snapped really far back with my head against the headrest when he hit us. It was actually kind of like towards the side and back because it was like a diagonal direction, I think, in which he hit us. So I have like, I don't know if you can see it. I've got some bruising right here and a scratch that actually looks better than it did yesterday. It's not very visible. It might be further back. And yeah, after the accident, I was like, oh, I think I'm okay. You know, I don't have any like visible cuts on me that I noticed, or, you know, didn't have any immediate pain anywhere. I'm like, I think I'm okay. But then I got a headache that night and it wouldn't go away. And I didn't attribute it to the accident at the time because we were late getting to dinner. I hadn't eaten. And it was pretty warm. So we were staying on the side of the road for a while waiting for highway patrol and all that stuff. So at the time I didn't think much about it, except the headache wouldn't go away and I was feeling shooting pains up this side of my head. And I had like a couple of like dizzy spells, but again, I attributed it to like the heat or whatever. So the next morning I woke up and I was kind of stiff, but I still like didn't put two and two together. And then about midday through the day on Monday, so the day after the accident, all of a sudden, like, I started having these horrible spasms, like, in my back and my neck, and I was having, like, pain along my waist, like, muscle spasms along my waist, and then my lower back from, like, my left butt cheek down my left leg, and I was having a lot of pain behind my left knee, which I think maybe because my legs were crossed, my left leg was up. So when he hit us, I kind of lunged forward before snapping back. That knee probably, it was already crossed across my right leg, so I would imagine I went forward and that knee went backwards. But I was having like shooting pain behind my knee, and I was having like tingling and numbness and like shooting pain in my pinky toe. And it just got worse and worse and worse as the day went on. And I'm like, I don't think that this is from, I think this is whiplash or something. Something's going on. So it got too late to call my doctor, and my boyfriend works graveyard, and I didn't have any way to get to the doctor. So the next morning on Tuesday, I woke up. I had to go take the car to a collision center to get an estimate done on it. And immediately after that, I went to urgent care because my doctor didn't have any appointments available until like next week. And I'm like, no, that's too far off, because if I have whiplash or some kind of injury, then I need to get documented. So I ended up going to urgent care, and they did x-rays and spent a while there. And sure enough, I have whiplash, and he ended up prescribing me like muscle relaxers and basically told me I have to follow up with my doctor. So it's now Wednesday night, so it's been 3 days, and I've basically been in pain for 2, and I can't take anything like ibuprofen because I'm allergic, so I'm basically stuck with Tylenol and muscle relaxers. So that's a whole nother Jerry Springer show. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let me tell you what happened. I don't trust this insurance company. I got so mad. So I go to the collision center, and now, honestly, I had already taken it to another shop, and I had actually taken it to 2 shops on Monday when I got up. Monday first thing, I got up and took it to 2 shops and got 2 independent estimates done on the repairs. And basically, when he hit us, he slammed into our driver's side door right where the hinges and everything are. That's where the majority of the damage is done. And I'm actually thankful for that, because I think all of those support beams and hinges, and there's just a lot of stuff right there. So I think a lot of that kind of, absorbed the impact and kind of prevented it from doing more damage. I think if he hadn't struck us, like the majority of the, if that wouldn't have been the point of impact, I think it would have been a lot worse. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm just, hypothesizing or assuming. I don't know what. Theorizing. But anyway, so, my train of thought again. Okay. So anyway, so the door is like basically sagging. It's like off the hinge. If you have to lift it to shut it and get to latch, and when you open the door, it'll swing out and then like droop down. So obviously there is quite a bit of damage done to the door. So the first two shops that I took to were like, oh yeah, this door is toast. You can tell that these hinges, like these interior, I don't know what the hell they call them, but they're like these interior joints along the door. He's like, these are irreplaceable. The structural integrity is gone. You have to replace the whole door. And both places told me that. So my appointment yesterday morning was to take it to the collision center that was representing the insurance company of the kid who hit us. And I go there, and first thing, the guy's like, you can just wait in the lobby while I do this estimate. And I was like, okay. And then after a minute, I was like, no, you know what? My car is like pearl white, and there was a lot of dents and damage that didn't have any scraping. So unless you were looking at it from a certain angle, it might be a little bit difficult to see. And I was like, you know what? I had a feeling. I just had a gut feeling this guy was going to try and screw me. I don't trust insurances to begin with. But I was like, you know what? Let me go out there and see what he's doing and make sure that he's noticing, you know, these points of damage where there's a couple of areas where it's like dented in, but it's a very smooth dent. There's no scratching. So unless you look at it from an angle, you're not going to notice it because of the color of my car. It's a pearl white. It reflects the light really well. So, I mean, on one hand, dings are really hard to see on it, but on the other hand, I want to make sure that they get all of this damage covered, because I shouldn't have to live with a ding on my car because some other kid hit me, right? So anyway, I go out there, and I'm like, he's still doing the estimate. He's only been out there like 2 minutes. And I'm like, oh, you notice this, and this on the back passenger, the rear driver's side door. He was like, oh yeah, I got that. And then this, he started pointing at a couple things. I was like, okay, just making sure that you saw that, because I didn't notice it, you know, immediately. I had to like look at it from a couple different angles before I noticed this particular dent. So the dent is not important at this point. Anyway, so I was like, okay, he's noticed it. I'm going to go back into the lobby. It's hot, and wait for him to finish. So I go back into the lobby. He comes back in. He spent like maybe 5 minutes with my car, and then he goes into his office where he was for literally an hour. So I'm thinking he must be charging the insurance company by the hour, because neither of the other shops I went to were back there an hour to do the estimate. Like, it does not take that long, you know? And he comes back out, and he's like, he starts to go over everything. I was like, you know what? I want you to point this stuff out to me on the car so that we're very clear about what you, as the collision center who is representing the responsible party, is saying you are going to do to fix my car. So we go out to the car, and he's pointing, okay, we need to replace the front fender, obviously. We're going to paint the rear fender. Okay, that's fine. We're going to fix these dents in the back driver's door, which I was kind of like okay with, but both other shops told me that more than likely that door would also have to be replaced because of the nature of the dents. They think that there was also structural damage underneath, and they both pointed out why and where, and said the estimate will probably go up, but we don't know until we take this door off. But anyway, then he starts in on the driver's side door, which I'll insert a photo of. Clearly this door is toast, right? And both of these other shops have told me, no, this door has to go. Like, you can see along like the like left side of that door, there's some marks where there's a hinge inside the door where it has clearly smashed into that hinge, and both shops have told me that's irreparable. It has to go. The door is sagging, you know, there is structural damage. It's not just an issue of replacing the outer shell or, you know, the outer panel. So he's like, and then we're going to pull these dents out and redo this. I'm like, hold up. I'm like, you realize that the hinges are damaged. He's like, well, I don't know that they're damaged. I'm like, so let me get this straight. And, well, first I was like, okay. I was like, did you open the door? Do you realize that when you open this door, it sags? It's not aligned. It doesn't stay up, and in order to shut the door, you have to like lift it and push it in to get to latch. It's completely unaligned. How is replacing that outer panel going to fix my door? And he's like, well, there's other damage, obviously, but I can't put it on the quote what it's going to take to fix that. I'm like, so rather than put anything on the quote indicating that the door is sagging, indicating that the integrity of the door is compromised, you're completely ignoring that and just saying that I need a new panel. I was like, let me see that. So I look at his paper. I'm like, nowhere in here do you indicate that there's further investigation needing to be done on this door before you can give a proper quote. So your quote is basically bullshit. You're telling the insurance company that I don't need a new door. You're telling the insurance company that the only thing wrong with my door is that the outer panel needs to be replaced, when you just told me that there is additional damage, which has been backed up by 2 other shops already, by the way, that there's additional damage that you cannot give an estimate for until you take the door apart. And he's like, well, yeah, but I can't put it on there unless I know what's wrong with it. I'm like, so you're just going to ignore it? And he and I went rounds, and I put my foot down, and I was like, I am not leaving here until that estimate acknowledges that it is not a complete estimate, that you are not quoting the repair costs to fix the fact that this door is drooping and sagging and obviously is going to need more than a panel. And we went rounds because I chewed his head off. I was like, because what would happen would be I would take it to another shop of my choice, and I just know this insurance company is going to be like, well, our shop said all it needed was an outer panel, and they were going to completely try and ignore the fact that the integrity of the door was compromised. So I was reaming him up one side and down the other. Like, I am not the person to be messing with right now. I am in pain. I am bitchy. My car is messed up, and you just decided to pick on the wrong lady because this is not happening. I'm not stupid. I was born on a day, but the day was not yesterday. So he ended up having to call another guy in who also tried to explain to me the same thing. I'm like, I get it. You're not going to give me a quote for something that you may not have to replace. But we all know that there's more damage to that door than what you put on your quote here. So they eventually gave in and put on the quote that further inspection was needed on the door to determine what else needed to be fixed. So they were acknowledging that there was additional damage that they could not give a quote on, because I'm not going to the shop. Like, that guy rubbed me the wrong way. Like, he didn't want me there when he was looking at it. He didn't want me there when he was explaining to me what they were going to repair. And then when I questioned him with some very, very, very valid points, and I already knew I had valid points because, like I said, I had already had 2 other very reputable shops look at this car before I took it to them, and he just wanted to argue with me and treat me like I was stupid, and I was not having it. So I'm pissed. I'm really, really, really upset. So anyways, so the car is going to have to go into the shop. I don't know what I'm going to do. Anyways, at this point, I don't know if we're going to wait. I have to get one more quote from my insurance company, but we haven't decided what we're going to do in terms of getting the car repaired. Honestly, other than getting an appointment for the repair estimate, I haven't even heard from the other insurance company. They haven't tried to question any of us about the accident. I've got to get the highway patrol report. It's just a mess, and I'm really irritable. I've had a headache for like 3 days straight. My back hurts. My legs hurt. I am not in the mood. So, yeah. That's kind of how my week has gone. That's been my last few days. And then tomorrow, like I said, I have to go get the other estimate done. And to make matters worse, after the guy looked at yesterday, it was still drivable. But now I have a sensor light coming on my dashboard saying there's something wrong with the tires. It doesn't indicate which tire. But I'm like, great. That... just another thing to have to worry about, because I don't have an estimate on that or why that light is on. I don't know why that light's on. I checked the tire pressure. Tire pressure's fine. So the only thing that makes sense, and I've inspected them, I don't see anything visibly wrong. So I suspect that the sensor in my car that tells me that my tire pressure is low probably got damaged in the collision, because he hit us from the side and kind of pushed us like northeast. So anyway, that's my week. And then tomorrow I have to go get that other quote. I have to call the insurance company and update them about my injuries. And Then I also have to go in for my MRI for something completely different. That's for the MRI on my arm and shoulder that I've been having trouble with for a while. So I have to go deal with that. So good news is they finally did get me an appointment at a place that does an open MRI. So fingers crossed for me and my claustrophobia. Oh, sorry, that hurt my neck. That the MRI will be a lot easier being an open MRI. Like I won't freak out. So anyway, and hopefully this bruising here will be gone pretty soon, and this cut. Yeah. How's your week? So anyway, that's pretty much everything. That's how things are going. But in spite of everything going on, I still plan on keeping my bright lines. Yeah, gonna stick to it. Not gonna let this derail me, or not gonna emotionally eat. Not gonna go binge. Like, it would be really, really, really great probably to go binge right now, but emotionally, well, not even emotionally, I would feel horrible about it afterwards, but that would be like the easy way and it wouldn't solve anything. So, anyway, I've been sitting here too long in one position. So, with that, I'm gonna get going. I hope everyone's had a good week, and I'll check in with you guys next Wednesday.